G'day ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome to my first impressions of the B-57 jet bomber. Now the B-57 is one of the most controversial planes added to War Thunder in patch 1.43, and with good reason. Fresh out of the 1.41 B-17 swarms that we suffered with for such a long time, Gaijin finally got around to fixing the B-17s so that they can be destroyed easily by standard fighters, rather than having to resort to specific bomber hunters, aircraft like the B-6R3, in order to remove them from battle. Gaijin then decided to add an aircraft to the game for the Americans that is borderline uncatchable at its battle rating. There's actually a really good post on the Reddit forums by a Reddit user called Udalink where he analysed a stock B-57 and its speed capabilities and compared it against the other jet bombers that have been added to the game, and then compared fighters within one battle rating up and one battle rating down of the B-57 as to what aircraft were capable of catching it, and the result was very simple: not bloody many. I'll put a link to that article in the description at the bottom of this video. Check it out and give him an upvote. His research was well worth it. And it was an exclamation point on something that I've said in the past. Gaijin doesn't seem to understand their own player base. Gaijin seems to be under the assumption that players will play every plane in the game without question. The spam that happens when aircraft are undertiered or overpowered or overperforming within a battle rating shows that they are not. Gaijin still doesn't realise that the player base desperately wants to progress within the game, to unlock new jets. They want to advance, they want to get access to bigger things. If you put a plane that has a definitive advantage over anything else in the game, it will get spammed in large numbers. If there isn't any way to generate credits and RP easily within the match, players will use it en masse. But getting past all that, what is the B-57? Well, it is a jet bomber that is capable of 941 kilometers an hour before it breaks its wings at sea level. Its battle rating 6.7, which puts it in a situation where there are actually only 4 aircraft for the nations that will face this plane that can actually reliably catch it. And none of those aircraft are Japanese. Now it gets 9 bombs at 500 pounds per bomb, which is a large enough bomb load to take out one of the small bases without any problems at all and have bombs left over to blow up pillboxes on the way home. And from a personal standpoint, this here is the most annoying part about this plane. It is a license-built version of the British Canberra with upgraded engines. That means the British Canberra jet bomber, the best version of it added to War Thunder at this point, is controlled by the Americans. It's over 100 kilometers an hour faster than the Canberra. So, needless to say, I really didn't want to do a first impressions on this plane. I knew I had to because people wanted to see my opinions on it, but I really didn't want to do it. It's boring to fly. If you've seen my Arado videos, exactly the same tactics that applied to the Arado apply to this plane. It just does it 300 kilometers an hour faster than the Arado can. It only has one weakness to watch out for. At over 600 kilometers an hour, if you pull negative Gs in the plane, it will instantly shear its wings. In fact, every single time I have died in this aircraft, it has been because I pulled negative Gs at over 600 kilometers an hour. I have never been successfully shot down in this plane, well, not technically anyway, until this match that you're about to watch. So I was sitting back at the menu, looking at the B-57 in the hangar, and trying to work out how I could make an interesting video for you guys to watch about this. I mean, it's fair enough to talk about the plane and the problems with it, but you need something interesting to watch too, an interesting match, and watching me dive on a Japanese carrier and blow it to pieces 3 minutes into a match is not particularly interesting to watch. And that's when my ever-trusty wingman Griviues come up with an absolutely brilliant idea. We were actually having a discussion over the performance of this aircraft and how it really needs to be tiered up. And he asked me how far. Honestly, I didn't have an answer to the question. It needs to be tiered up far enough that it's not going to face any of the props that are currently into the game, but I wasn't entirely sure whether or not it should be tiered up so far to face the MiG-15s and the Sabres, so we decided to find out. I'm flying out into this match with Griviues. We're on Bulge. He's flying his F9 F2. This is a top-end jet battle. Well, actually, if we're honest, it's a handicap match. Our team consists of 3 F86 A5 Sabres, 2 F9 F2 Panthers, and myself. The enemy team is 1 D13, 4 MiG-15 Biz, and 2 CL-13A Sabres. So this isn't even close to being a balanced match. This is completely in the favour of the German team. And honestly, I couldn't have asked for a better environment to test exactly how well this plane will perform in a high-end batch. So I've taken my airspawn in, I'm approaching in on the first base target at 850 kilometers an hour. I'm getting my overspeed warnings at 850, it will do 950, but I'm being cautious, popping the air brakes on and off just to maintain around 850, 860 kilometers an hour. Now, my initial pass, I dropped only 6 bombs. I haven't flown this plane enough to know exactly how many bombs it takes to take out a base. That's how little interest I've actually had in flying it so far. So I dropped 6 off, and then I just let the plane fly over and monitor the results. Now, on screen at the moment, I know what you're saying, God, this thing is absolutely massive, it's huge. It's really not, it's a camera position and perspective issue. The campers and B-57s are actually smaller than B-25s, but at the moment the camera is set far too close to the tailplane and you cannot zoom it out any further, which gives you the appearance of the plane being much larger than it is. It's sort of like the issue with the Horton. The Horton looks absolutely massive when you see it on screen, but if you see it on a runway next to a D-13, it's not much bigger. So I've just confirmed 8 500-pound bombs to take out a base in an 8.7 battle rating match. That leaves me 1 in the belly to hit a pillbox on the way home, which is what I'm going to go and try and do now. One thing to note, this plane is actually so fast when it hits its maximum level flight speed at sea level. If you jump over to the bomb site, and I don't think I do on this recording, which kind of sucks, but if you jump over to the bomb site, you can actually fly the plane from bomb site view. It points directly out the nose. If you look at the position of the reticle in front of the plane when it's flying at low altitude, 837, 838, and you look how far forward it is, on the bomb site you can actually clearly see where you're going. Now I've just had a double moment of panic. I've just spotted Tetsuo flying in over my shoulder. At first I thought it was a player that was coming in for the bases, although I couldn't figure out why one would be there. He's in a 109k, it can destroy this plane, but I'm not particularly worried about it. And then I see the CL-13 that's directly above me. Now, I almost crapped myself for a minute till I realised he can't actually see me. If you remember me talking about low altitude flying in videos in the past, how it reduces the vision range in the vertical, so if you fly really low to the ground, players actually have to get much closer in order to be able to detect you. Well, the new spotting system works exactly the same way. That is still implemented. It seems to vary around a lot, but it does look like, in a lot of cases, if you were close enough to the ground, enemy aircraft actually have to get within 3 kilometers of your position directly above you to be able to spot you with any accuracy. I'm not entirely sure on what the hard caps are for this at the moment. Sometimes it seems to work, other times I seem to be able to detect players at a full 6 kilometers, so there is a bit of variance in it. Nevertheless, there does appear to be some issue with it, and that's why that CL-13 left me alone. Despite the fact he was well within my vision range, he couldn't actually see me because I was too low to the ground. Nevertheless, in an absolute panic, I just dropped the bomb, got rid of it to get maximum speed out of this plane. I want to get back to my runway, get back under AAA cover, get myself rearmed and go for that second base. So we're going to skip through to that now. So, landing the B-57, something that a lot of people may not have actually seen, as the matches are usually over before they have to. How hard is it to land? It's one of the easiest aircraft that I've ever had to put down. Its stall speed is about 180 kilometers an hour for the wings on it. Its air brakes are massively effective. It just pulls it up. You can see how rapidly I'm dropping speed down. I actually can't leave the air brakes on permanently because it'll stall and make me nose it into the ground. Smooth comes down for landing, and the brakes on it are really effective. It will pull it up in a real hurry when it gets there. Now, since I have blown up the base, the Tetsuo AI has of course targeted me for termination, so I've made a quick call out to Grivius, and he is currently returning back. He actually came back in my direction after I detected the CL-13 to give me cover, and I've just asked him to drop in and get rid of this little tow rag, because he's going to cause me some problems otherwise. He does actually manage to put 1 in the fuselage there, but nothing to bring up the damage model. Overshoots, he's bringing it back around. Base AAA is about as effective as it normally is against AI that are strafing the runway, and that is to say it does absolutely nothing at all. He's coming around for his next pass, and there's Grievous. Boom, there goes the AI. Grievous is exiting the area, and I've just told him to go and find some players to shoot down. It's a much safer sky for me if there's nobody around. And I know what you're saying at this point, Mags, this video is sort of a little boring. Well, bombers are a bit like that, but don't worry, this will get more interesting soon. First things first, however, I've got to take off and go and bomb the second base. Now, takeoffs in the B-57, are they anything like the Arado where you need 400 kilometres of runway to actually get the thing off the ground? No, its speed and acceleration on the runway is actually quite good. It will lift comfortably off the runway at 300 kilometres an hour. It only uses about half the standard runways, which means its takeoff length is actually so short that it can reliably use the secondary runways on most of the European maps to land, rearm and take off again, which is actually something the Arado has massive troubles with because it can't get enough speed to get off the ground. As I said, just approaching 300 kilometres an hour. I'll give it a little bit more for extra. At 310 I start lifting the nose, at 330 I'm easily up, no problems at all. Fold the landing gear up, just keep it nose down, well out of tree height in the air and ready to make my banking turns before the bitumen is actually ended for the runway and I'm already pointing towards the bases. So time to go bomb the second base. Now at this point in the match it's 4-on-3 in our favour, however the remaining aircraft is a CL and 2 MiG-15 Biz, and I've had another unmolested run to the base, no problems at all. But that's mostly because I'm still flying so low to the ground that I haven't been detected. Unfortunately, it bites me in the arse here. I actually only released 6 bombs again because I was moving too fast and too low to the ground. The last 2 bombs, if I'd released them, would have actually overshot the base. So once again, I'm going to have to turn around, drop 2 more, and then RTB. Now I know about the problems with negative Gs on this plane at this point in time, but I'm unsure exactly how many positive Gs it can take, so I'm still taking a long, wide, slow banking turn. I'm in no rush. I'm quite comfortable over here at the moment. Most of the fighting is happening almost 30 kilometres away, so until I blow up this base, nobody's going to realise I'm here yet again, and then I have ample time to get away. They've got to cross a 30-kilometre gap to get to me. But I accidentally double tap the spacebar here and I release all 3 bombs rather than the 2 I need, but you know what, that's fine. Base is destroyed, that's 2 bombs down in an 8.7 match. Time to RTB, go grab another load of bombs and see if I can finish off this last base and complete the objective. And again, another smooth, unmolested run all the way back to the base. A nice smooth come in for landing to grab another bomb load, and you have to admit that to this point, this match has been pretty boring, and it doesn't really show anything. Sure, I can bomb targets when nobody shoots at me. I can do that at any level. But this is the point where it's about to start getting interesting. So rearmed and getting ready to take off for the 3rd and final time of this match. There is only 1 base remaining. The current planes remaining is Grivius and his F9 F2. One of our F86 A5s is also still alive, and that is the rest of our players, excluding myself. The enemy team is a player that is currently unidentified. We don't know what he's in, and it turns out he's in a Focke-Wulf 190 and a CL-13A, what is still arguably the most powerful jet fighter in War Thunder. Now, up until this point, nobody has RTB'd on any team, so everybody's running on their original fuel loads, and we're starting to approach around 15 minutes worth of flight time. Everybody's starting to get onto vapors. Well, everybody excluding me, obviously. Now, unfortunately, I've just been detected. The CL-13A has located me. It's 3 kilometres out and approaching fast. I quickly let Grievous know on comms that the CL-13 has been located and is on me, and then I throw the plane on a knife edge, so I miss the first set of shots. And then I'm just powering out of the area as fast as I can. Unfortunately, the CL-13 is faster. Now, the rest of my team was checking the enemy runways. The closest aircraft that I have is the F-86A, which is 20 kilometres out, and he's turned around and on his way. Grievous is at 30, so I'm here with the CL-13A on my own. I have no defensive gunners, I have no forward gunners. All I have is what this plane can do in stock format to defend myself. And I just want to reiterate that one right there. What this plane can do, stock. So I've just looped the plane straight back around. It has blown a lot of speed. It's down under 300 kilometres an hour. I've got to nose it back down to get airspeed up, but I've managed to avoid the CL's second pass. He's taking it back to altitude, getting speed back, ready to turn back around and dive back on me. Now, why I'm going to throw this plane around as much as I need to in order to avoid this CL, I am trying to head towards my allies as much as I possibly can to make their life as easy as possible of finding this CL. He comes back in again. Once again, I throw it around to a bank. He gets a good solid hit to the fuselage and punches a hole straight through my fuel tanks. Luckily, it was only a fuselage hit. I can handle a fuel leak, no problems at all. All the control surfaces on the aircraft are completely undamaged. I still have full manoeuvrability. Now, this was an interesting thing to note. That thing only has 50 caliber machine guns. This aircraft should have self-sealing fuel tanks. However, this fuel leak does not stop for the rest of the match. So what I've got and the bleed that I've got is all I have left. Once again, I see him aligning himself for another dive, so I throw the plane over hard, this time nose down. I want to try and maintain airspeed through the turn and try and force him to overcook it. I take a hit to the tail. I have taken elevator damage this time, however the elevator remains responsive. And at this moment I've just realised exactly how manoeuvrable this beast is. With the combat flaps on, this thing turns incredibly tightly, and it seems to be able to pull a near unlimited amount of positive Gs. I've had no problems or fear of breaking my wings so far, and I've been throwing this plane around a lot. Now admittedly I haven't been going incredibly fast, but to stand on the elevators like I have been at 400 kilometers an hour and not suffer any problems is a pretty impressive thing. Now, if it looks like I'm trying to chase this CL around at the moment, I am. What I'm trying to do is stay directly underneath him, so if he wants to dive on me, he has to dive in the vertical. He'll build up speed so rapidly if he does that he'll risk running into the ground, and it's bought me the time that I needed in order for Grivius to arrive and the F-86A to arrive and give me cover. Unfortunately, the Focke-Wulf 190 has just shown up, so keeping the power on, I know I can outrun this thing in a straight line without a problem. The CL is going to void. I stay at low and as fast as I can, avoid the shots, and the D13 overpowers and powers into the mountain. So, well, I'd like to claim that as my first kill of this match. So, it's a CL-13A versus an F-86A5 and an F9F2, and I'd like to point out at this point in time that the F9F2 that Grievous is flying is also stock. Nevertheless, they are over that CL-13A like a rash, so I am taking the opportunity to get the hell out of this area as fast as I possibly can. If I can break 6 kilometers on the CL-13, I'll disappear. Now, he'll know that I'm heading back towards the base, but if I can be creative about my return, he shouldn't be able to locate me. And remember, nobody is RTB'd at this point in time. He's got to be running low on fuel. Grievous is down to 4 minutes. The F-86 is about to report that he's down under a minute's worth of fuel, and he has to land immediately. Now, on the approach, where I got the opportunity, I tried to take out this light pillbox with just one of the bombs. This shows how fast and how hard it is to actually aim this aircraft. I missed. That bomb overshot despite the fact that I launched it when the reticle was beforehand. Now, I'm playing on a US server here, so I'm playing with about 350 ping. Releasing the bomb before the pillbox is normally all you need to do to account for ping, but this aircraft is so fast at an 800 km/h bomb release that it overshot anyway. So, having broken visual contact with the CL-13A, I had an unmolested run to the bomb drop. All 8 bombs out this time. I had to nose down slightly. I was really worried about negative Gs there, but all good. Base is destroyed. Now, this is a 6.7 bomber, and I've just taken out all 3 bases in an 8.7 match. Now, if that's all that happened this match, if I just bombed out those 3 bases, I think that would be enough to show that this aircraft is definitely competitive in battles higher than 6.7, higher than where it's currently tiered. I may be a little bit of luck on my side that I managed to do this and destroy 3 bases in an 8.7 match, but you know, a 7.7 battle rating would definitely be a possibility for this plane. However, that isn't all that happened. No. The best part is yet to come. So, I was just taking the cautious route on the way home, and unfortunately the CL-13 finally got the better of Grievous in his stock F9F2. He's just taken critical damage and soon after explodes mid-air dead. Now the F-86A, he's out of fuel and he's on the runway. The CL knows he's on the runway, and a few moments after this, he moves in to strafe the F-86A. My fuel leak has me on exactly 6 minutes of fuel remaining, and I am now the last plane left alive with the CL-13A. An unarmed, damaged 6.7 battle rating jet bomber versus the most powerful jet fighter in War Thunder. And it's also worth noting that nobody got shots on that CL-13A. It avoided all incoming fire, so it's also undamaged. Now, while we're waiting for the final act to begin, it's worth noting the ticket counter at the top of the screen. It was something that I noticed just here towards the end, at about this point in the match. Despite completing the objective and blowing up all 3 bases, it seems to have made very, very little difference to the actual ticket count in this match. We have a slight advantage, but it's only a sliver. It seems the bases in 8.7 matches are not worth anywhere near as much as they are worth on lower tier matches. And there's the CL-13A diving in, strafing out the F-86A5 on the runway, and at 2 kilometers range he knows precisely where I am. Now I'm the last plane left. So, situation report at this time. The CL-13 knows precisely where I am, but he's got to be running low on fuel. I'm right on top of our runway, so I do have AAA cover. However, AAA has proven to be non-effective in this match for anybody. Nobody's been shot down or even taken damage from it so far. I have under 4 minutes worth of fuel left on the counter, but with the engine, or with the fuel leak from the tanks, I've likely really only got somewhere between 2 and 3, and the CL-13A is closing in on me fast, so I'm putting this thing on the ground, trying to get as much speed up as I possibly can. Now, I come up with a crazy idea here. I've been told that the CL-13's wings break under excessive G-forces this patch, so I decided to find out exactly what the wing G tolerance was on the B-57. 874 kilometers an hour, the CL-13 is closing in as fast. It's only 1.8 kilometers out, 1.7. I'm watching him closely, waiting for the perfect moment to stand on the elevators here. And I'm going to try and pull this plane into the highest G pull-up as I possibly can and slow the plane down as much as I can, as rapidly as I can. 1 kilometer, come on, I need you to get a little bit closer, I need you to be within gun range. There we go, he fires the shots, I take a hit. Drop the landing gear, drop the air brakes out, pull this thing up as fast as I possibly can, and just look at how quickly this thing pirouettes around and does not break its wings. I did smash my landing gear in the process of doing that, but he overshot completely. Unfortunately, he didn't break his wings, he didn't pull up hard, he just pulled vertical and left it at that, so good pilot didn't make the mistake. That's not good for me here. I need a bad pilot who's going to make mistakes if I want to survive this. 1 minute 48 and fuel left on the counter, and there goes the remainder of my landing gear, so I'm now not as fast as I was before, but that really doesn't matter at this point. I was never going to outrun a CL-13 in the first place. He's 1 kilometer out, already turned around again, just pull it straight into the vertical, air brakes extended, take it up, take another clip, roll the plane right back around into a dive, retract the flaps to get airspeed up so I don't stall, drop combat flaps in order to be able to pull this thing up, redeploy. Well, it's actually not combat flaps now, I'm now using landing flaps because the landing gear broke deployed. The auto flap button is going to drop landing flaps every time. But nevertheless, once again I forced another overshoot. Here he comes again, 6.8 out, let's do it again. Let's bring this thing around hard, this time peel to the left. And I slam into the edge of map respawn that is stupidly close to the end of the Allied runway on this map, but he does too, so he's right above me, he's right there, 700 meters away. He powers away, tries to turn back in, I take it back into the vertical, drop it down, I'm only doing 235 at the moment, peel around behind him, he goes around, not looking good, 40 seconds worth of fuel left. This is a problem. I'm going to have to try and land this thing on the runway and just risk the belly landing and hope I survive. Of course I know with this plane in this condition and nobody else left alive on either team, no AI left alive, belly landing this plane on the runway is giving the enemy team victory. There's no way I can survive it. It's classed as a crash. But I just looked back and noticed I was just outrunning the CL-13 for a split second. I'm still outrunning him. He's coming in this direction, but I am outrunning him at the moment. I'm seconds away of running out of fuel. He's run out of fuel too. He's currently gliding after me. I'm about to run out of fuel, and this thing won't glide anywhere near as well as the CL-13 is, so I'm still going to have to go with the original plan. But he's on vapors. He's diving down to get airspeed to catch me at the moment, but he's got no engines left, and there goes my fuel load. I'm out. But I managed to make it to the end of the runway. Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. His glide is better than mine. There he is, he's right above me, he's right there. I'm just keeping the speed up enough to make the end of the runway. He's just right there, he put shots in, but he was going too fast, he overshot, and yes, he had no tail flame when he went past. He is out of fuel too. We are both gliding at the moment, neither one of us has any juice left. 330, this is going to be I have to bring this in as gentle as I can. It's still going to hand in the match, there's nothing I can do. And I can see he's diving back in. He stacked it, he crashed under. As I'm sure you can imagine, I was pretty pumped after that match. So, third place for the team in a battle rating 6.7 bomber in an 8.7 match on a team that had a maximum aircraft level of 8.3. And that was nearly my fuselage repair in a single match, 35,000 credits and just over 8,000 RP. Not that the results matter. A 6.7 battle rating B-57A just carried a match at battle rating 8.7 against the most powerful fighter in War Thunder. And you know what? I'm not going to draw any conclusions from this match. I'm going to let you do that. Do you think 6.7 is perfectly appropriate for the B-57, or do you think it might need an up tier? And most importantly of all, would you consider it to be competitive at the battle rating you're suggesting without luck needing to be involved? Until next time, ladies and gents, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.